Hi, students. For this discussion, I want us to work through the wellness wheel. We may also mention the SMART goal at the very end. So first of all, the things that you'll need for this this activity is something to write on, so paper, and you'll need something to write with. So go ahead and pause the video, go grab that right quick, and come back. What you'll do when you have your paper is this right here. I get that where you can see it. I don't know if it will look right in the video, but on your paper, I want you to put a dot in the middle, and then I want you to draw 6 lines, creating 6 segments, basically. This is what we are going to call the wellness wheel, and I want you to label your wellness wheel with the 6 dimensions of wellness that we'll be talking about this semester. Physical, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, environmental, and social. And again, if you need to pause the video while you label those lines, go ahead and do that. We're going to dive right in. All right, let's get started. So I want to pick apart each one of those, and basically you're going to score yourself. You're going to give yourself a score in each of those 6 areas in this wellness wheel activity, okay? And then I'm going to give you some questions in the discussion board, and you're going to answer them, and you're going to interact with each other about your results, okay? Sorry, my lighting is being kind of crazy, so we'll just do the best we can with it. Okay, let's start with physical. So in the physical area of well-being, I want you to think about what makes up your physical well-being. How do you feel? The complete physical condition and functioning of the body. Are you exercising? Is your blood pressure healthy? Do you have good muscular strength? Do you eat well? Do you exercise 3 to 5 times per week? Do you eat at least 5 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables each day? Most people do not. Do you get 7 to 9 hours of sleep at night? Those are big, big factors for physical well-being. So on your paper, I want you to, on the line for physical, I want you to indicate what you think your score is for that particular area of well-being. You're going to score each one of these areas on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being you're a complete physical train wreck, and 10 being you're awesome. You exercise 3 to 5 times a week. You eat 5 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. You get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. You take very good care of your physical body. So on a scale of 1 would be down here at the dot or so. 10 would be at the very top. So go ahead and give yourself a score for physical well-being. The next one is social well-being. Okay, so for social well-being, I want you to think about the things that make up social well-being. How are your relationships? Are you able to very easily make relationships with other people? And once you make those relationships, are you able to maintain them? So social wellness is the ability to maintain positive relationships, positive, healthy, satisfying interpersonal relationships. Are your relationships peaceful? Are they very tense and stressful? Do they enhance your life, or are they causing more problems in your life? Those are things to look at when we're looking at social wellness. So are your relationships supportive, compassionate, trustworthy, that kind of thing? All right. So go ahead and give yourself a score in the social well-being area on a scale of 1 to 10. Again, just go ahead and mark on there At the dot would be like a 0. So just up from the dot would be 1, and then all the way up at the top would be a 10. So right at this moment, what would you score yourself? Okay. Now for environmental well-being. Environmental well-being, the condition and livability of the local environment and the planet as a whole. So there's a couple of things we want to look at here. Yes, it is about taking care of the planet. It is also taking a look at your environment and specifically how it supports or takes away from your pursuit to be healthy, to be well. So does your environment enhance your wellness or does it take away from your wellness? So think about your environment. How stressful is your environment? Is your environment promoting healthy behavior change? Is it taking away from healthy behaviors? So go ahead on a scale of 1 to 10, give yourself a score for environmental. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about spiritual well-being. This is one of the most neglected areas of well-being, not intentionally. It's just people don't always know how to think about it, how to deal with it. The bottom line for spiritual well-being is developing a set of values, beliefs, or principles that give meaning and purpose to your life. And then choosing actions that line up with those values. So I can't tell you what your values need to be. I have my own set of values, and I'm not going to tell you what your values need to be, but you need to have values, and I need to have values, and we need to know what those are, and we need to stick to them. Our values help to direct every other area of our lives. They help us on our path to choosing what career to take. Our values help us to determine what we do with our time, how we spend our free time, all kinds of things go into that. Some spiritual wellness strengths are things like faith, tolerance, kindness, peace, joy. Are we eager to help others? Do we frequently experience great peace in our decisions that we make? Do we have a clear vision of our future, our future path that we want to take? Spiritual well-being is characterized by a great sense of purpose and meaning. And so figuring out what sorts of things bring purpose and meaning to your life can help you in making decisions pertaining to your life. Behaviors that support spiritual wellness are things like prayer and meditation, as well as volunteer work, things like that. Behaviors that detract or take away from spiritual wellness is basically any behavior that goes against your personal values. So when we intentionally make decisions and take part in behaviors that are not consistent with our values, we're just twisted on the inside and not at peace. Okay, so on your paper, go ahead and give yourself a score for physical well-being, physical wellness. On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you right now with spiritual well-being? Okay, I'm just going to mark on my paper where just kind of a typical, I'm just going to give an example. All right, so the next one is intellectual. Let's talk about intellectual well-being. And for intellectual well-being, one of the hallmarks of intellectual wellness is a lifelong learner, being a lifelong learner, always being open to learning, to learn new things, having an open mind about other people's perspectives and views, that kind of thing. Developing and enhancing critical thinking. So being able to think critically, not only see things from your viewpoint, but being able to see things from the viewpoint of others as well. Let's see, characteristics that are a part of intellectual wellness or intellectual wellness strengths include common sense, curiosity, creativity. All of those are bound up in intellectual well-being, wellness. So another thing that I like to point out when we're talking about intellectual wellness is a lot of times we tend to respond very emotionally to issues. Let me see if I can improve that lighting a little bit. I don't know. Nope. Okay. When difficult circumstances come up, frequently we respond in a very emotional way instead of an intellectual way. So we turn to, lashing out in anger or fear. When we approach things intellectually, we step back away from the situation for a moment and we brainstorm logically. We use reasoning and logic to come up with strategies that can improve the situation. We logically and rationally create a game plan or an action plan that we can carry out and we can work on. Okay, so intellectual well-being, go ahead and give yourself a score for that on a scale of 1 to 10. Where are you right now intellectually with your intellectual wellness? All right, the very last one is emotional well-being. And emotional well-being is the ability to manage and express emotions in constructive and appropriate ways. Being able to manage and express emotions in constructive and appropriate ways. Some strengths of emotional wellness include optimism, trust, self-confidence. I would say that emotional well-being is one of the biggest challenges of the college age segment of our population. Depression, anxiety tend to be big factors in college age, as well as stress. So not being able to manage stress. Frequently, this is brought on by poor time management. So all of those are kind of woven together. So emotional wellness, emotional well-being, some behaviors that support emotional well-being, things like writing in a journal, keeping a journal, journaling, also stress management techniques. So go ahead and give yourself a score in the area of emotional wellness from 1 to 10. Where are you right now with emotional well-being? All right. Okay. Now, once you have scored all of your areas, I want you to take a look at your paper and I want you to connect the dots or lines that you made. So go ahead and connect all of those together. Sometimes our wellness wheel as college students don't always look like a wheel, right? What if you were in a car that had a wheel shaped like this? It might be kind of a bumpy ride. Yet when we approach our lives and really don't give priority to each area of wellness, our lives kind of are a bumpy ride. So one purpose of this activity was to help you take a look at each of the areas and just become aware that there are 6 different areas. And we're going to focus on those over the course of the semester. Chapter 1, you learned about these 6 dimensions of wellness and how they're all intertwined and you can't really separate them. So when we make an improvement in one area of wellness, the others improve as well, somewhat. So they all work together. They're all intertwined. So take a look at your paper and see which areas are lowest. What were your lowest scores? Make a note of what those are. Also in chapter 2, we learn about goal setting. We talk about a lot of things. I love chapter 2. It is awesome. But goal setting, I want to briefly point out the SMART goals. And if you're in the ebook or the textbook, it's page 41 of chapter 2. Goal setting. What are you trying to achieve? So I want you to think about the areas that were your lowest scores, and maybe none of the areas were quite as high as you want them to be. So I want you to begin to think of ways that you can improve, ways that you can set goals to improve these areas of wellness. A SMART goal is a goal that is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. Again, a SMART goal, SMART just is an acronym to remember what things the goal should consist of. So a SMART goal is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. If I wake up one morning and say, I need to start exercising, that's not a goal, but we tend to think that it is. A goal would be on Monday, September 7th at 5 a.m., I'm going to walk for an hour. That's a goal. I know if I've achieved that goal by the end of that day because I either got up and did that or not. The more specific we can make a goal, the more likely we are to accomplish it. The second part of that goal is measurable. Was that goal measurable? Yes. September 7th, 5 a.m., 1 hour. All of those things are measurable. I know if I've achieved it. The next part of it is, or measurable. The next part is achievable. So the A stands for achievable. Is it something that I know when I've accomplished it? And is it something that I can accomplish? Yes. The R stands for realistic. If someone isn't an early riser, they don't get up at 5 a.m., that might not be a realistic goal for them. So a more realistic goal for someone might be every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 p.m., I'll walk for 30 minutes. So whatever is realistic for you, that's the goal that you set. Okay, so your goal must be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and then the last thing is time bound. A really good goal is bound by time. You know when you've accomplished it. So you could say, and you can start out kind of broad and then narrow it down. So a broad goal might be every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 p.m., I will walk for 30 minutes. And then you might bring it in a little bit more. Maybe you're not walking at all. So maybe you want to make that goal a little bit smaller at first. But by October 31st, you want to have fully accomplished that goal of every Monday, Wednesday, Friday walking for 30 minutes or whatever. So you might start out like your smaller goal. You might start out by walking every Monday at 6 p.m. for 30 minutes. And then, so that would be set for maybe 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks, you might want to start walking every Monday and Wednesday at 6 p.m. until by October 31st, you're walking for 30 minutes every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 p.m. Does that make sense? So SMART goals help us to take a specific look at exactly what we need to change. And these kinds of goals help us to set small steps to reach our goals. So in this discussion, I want you to answer the questions that I've given you in pertaining to the wellness wheel. And I also want you to answer the questions that I've given you pertaining to SMART goals. I'll talk to you soon.